You're listening to
They're going to call it a hard foul. They're going to call it a hard foul.
Game 4 is in the books. The Celtics take a commanding 3-1 lead with the dominant performance out in Philadelphia. They look to close things out tomorrow night at home in the Garden and move on to round two. We are Hot Foul. I am Jim Quigley, as always, with my brother Michael. And Michael, we are part of the what?
Fan First Sports Network, bitch.
That is right. We are part of the Fan First Sports Network. Mike, I thought last night was the most dominant performance of the series. Obviously, there was only one other dominant performance, but I thought that was a much more impressive win by the Celtics than even what happened in game one. Philly played a part in that. The Embiid return played a part in that, I do believe. But I just thought every aspect of the game for the Celtics, the offensive side of the ball, their rebounding was spectacular. Low turnovers, and really good defense. It was just a real positive game. There's things we can nitpick. I want to get to one of the things you nitpicked last night, which I thought was kind of important. And but on the whole, just a really dominant victory, and they look to have a stranglehold on this series, which at one point, had the sense it could be a long one. So, Mike, you take it from there.
You know, usually if a team fights through screens that hard and plays that hard, they're going to lose somewhere. And typically that would be second chance points because guys would be out of position. But the Celtics are such a good rebounding team. They were winning one and dones, one and dones, one and dones on the defensive end. And the way that Derek White and Jordan Walsh were just fighting through those screens at the top of the key to try to get back in front of Maxey, I thought was one of the big differences in the game. And then everybody, you know, Jaylen Brown going into the fourth quarter had 7 rebounds. I'll show how many he ended up with. Tatum at one point had 9. Everybody was rebounding last night. And I do think that was a big part of this game, just holding Philly to one and done. Philly couldn't make that initial shot for most of the game, and the Celtics were just able to extend their lead over and over again. A real flawless effort on both ends, but I was most impressed with the defense last night. I just thought the defense was just really locked in, paying attention to detail. If Embiid wasn't flopping and getting calls, Philly didn't have much other offense. And I do think that Philly helped out by going to Embiid too much early in the game. They should have just ran their stuff with Maxey and Etchcom and let those guys and Paul George try to get into a rhythm. But hey, they wanted to force feed Embiid, and the Celtics made life really difficult for everybody out there. So just awesome. It's awesome effort on defense. And this series is over now.
Yeah, they really, it's been a collective effort on defense, going to the coaching staff too. I mean, they made some pretty significant changes from game 2 to game 3 and 4. One of them was Tatum is on Edgecombe. And I think that has caused Edgecombe all sorts of fits. And I don't think he hit a 3 again yesterday. I'm not sure if he hit one at all in game 3. I think it's been a real struggle for him those 2 games at home. I think Tatum's length and size has just been really bothersome for him. And it's one of those things that even when he's free from that cage a little bit, he's not comfortable. So you can just see that. So that's one. Two, how they defended the pick and roll. Like, yeah, what White and Walsh are doing on Maxey and getting over the screen and fighting through it is impressive, no doubt. But the centers have been better, and the coaches have made some tactical shifts to help them. One of the what the Sixers loved to do in Game Two was they kind of went to the empty side, where they would not. In Game One, there was a lot of screening towards Oubre, who the Celtics want to shoot, and so the Sixers went empty, and it just caused a lot of problems for the Celtics. They're a deep drop. It would either mean a walk-in 3 or a blow-by. Now, when they try to go empty, the Celtics are doing everything they can to use that baseline as an extra defender. They're shifting Walsh and White to kind of direct them in that way. not more of covering the right hand or anything like that on Maxey, just forcing the baseline, and the center ends up being right there in the drop already. Makes it a little bit easier to get over. And then when they are successfully getting the screen to the middle of the floor, you can see Vucevic and Kata, they're not dropping as nearly as deep as they used to. They're hedging a little bit, getting to about the middle. It gives enough time for Walsh and White to recover, and at the
Mhm.
same time, not a real enough space for Maxi to come into that pull up without Vucevic and or Nemi being able to bother it.
Mhm.
And too deep to really get to the rim. So they've done just a nice job. Now, it doesn't mean Maxey still hasn't gotten, you know, some really good looks. I mean, he's a really good player. That hasn't mean that there hasn't been walk-in threes, but it looks a lot different and feels a lot different than game two, just with the adjustments they made. And I thought the defense in game three was pretty good. I really did. And I thought the defense again yesterday was really, really good. And I
Yeah.
think those changes has really helped. And if you watch, anyone on this pod goes back and watches, look where the Celtics are funneling the Sixers offense. They're funneling them to guys they want to shoot. Sixers missed a lot of shots again yesterday, but they're from guys that the Celtics are fine taking them. They're
Exactly.
fine with George going to the fadeaway jump shot against White and Pritchard. They're fine with Oubre taking a three or even putting it to the floor. They're fine
Fine
with
with the beat
Edwards.
taking the three.
Yeah, they're fine with Embiid taking a three. So, and I think they're fine with Edgecombe, if I'm being perfectly frank with you right now, with the way things are set up. So they're funneling the offense towards that. I think the other huge assist to the Celtics was Embiid playing. I think Embiid, even when he's really sharp right now, can't really give you max efforts on both ends of the floor. He's going to be a negative on one end of the floor or the other. And last night it was on the defensive end. He just was a non-factor. There was a couple moments where he showed up, but for the most part, he was a non-factor. And what makes matters worse, and this has been something that has happened in the playoffs before, he's not a good defensive rebounder. Like,
No.
I mean, that's apparent. Like, there's not even much of an effort. When he was on the floor, the Celtics were just getting multiple chance after multiple chance after multiple chance. And it just led to more and more opportunities. And then I think to your point, they were trying to run a lot of their offense through Embiid. And that kind of has to happen when he's out there. There's no way to really avoid that, you know. And some of it did work. Like that third quarter, it was working. And a part of the reason they didn't score as much is because some of those shots that he typically hits, from the free throw line, which is kind of rimming out. So maybe those go in game five. But I just think there's so much the Celtics can take advantage of with him on the floor on one end of the other, depending on where he decides to give his effort. That they're very much in the driver's seat right now. The Sixers probably have a bigger discussion. Some big discussions this offseason on what they're going to do because there's ways where they can actually become a contender. But I think this series I don't see it getting past five, Mike. I think if it gets past five, that's because the Celtics didn't show up. This thing should end tomorrow night.
Yeah. Celtics are going to come out with max effort at home and close this out. There's no reason not to. I fully expect this thing to end in five. And to your point about Etchkin, maybe they do want him shooting threes. I think when Tatum's covering him, yeah, and he takes him out of
Yeah.
rhythm. Game two, that wasn't the case. In game one, he was open, he just missed. I think the fact that Joe put Tatum on him shows a level of respect to
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and Tatum did a really good job. I just to get it out there before I forget. I am impressed though with Philly's effort.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot
Yeah,
to like. I thought game three
yeah.
they played great. I thought, yeah. I
They're
thought the
just
Celtics were lucky to win.
I think it's not as drastic as Miami, but it reminds me a bit of Miami when they play the Celtics, where the Celtics are just bigger. So Philly's playing like very, very physical on the ball. Um, and it's definitely disrupted the Celtics offense, but for the most part, the Celtics have no issue shooting over the top of them.
Right.
Um, and certainly Tatum. He took a couple of those in the 2 point mid range that we saw a little bit yesterday, and he was hitting his threes. But um, yeah, they have a really hard time staying with Boston. I think just because Boston's got a lot of skill and size, but Philly plays hard, and um, yeah, I just close this thing out. Don't give them life. Don't go back to Philadelphia and have to win 3 times there to avoid a game seven. Close this out in game five.
Yeah, and I feel like the Celtics have kind of figured the Sixers out on their end, the defensive end. I don't think the Sixers have, that first wave of defense, you're right, the physicality's nice. But the Celtics haven't had any issues like kind of getting past it. And then, they move the ball and they're able to find shooters. And then, they say, okay, well, we're not really going to leave Pritchard, but Pritchard's a great one-on-one player. And so, like, there's not a lot of defenders that are left on Philly once you get past George or,
There
maybe
was no
Oubre.
there was no
But
adjustment made in game four. I understand game five why they were allowing the Celtics to shoot so many open threes because the game was really tight, and the Celtics were missing some. But at what point last night, the Celtics were up to like 17 makes that you just switch up your defense and say, you know what, we're going to give up the paint.
there
See if we
were
got.
there were two adjustments they made, and the Celtics killed them both. They went zone.
Yeah.
And that didn't take long for the Celtics to get out
Well,
of. And then they opened the half without giving a ton of help on Brown and Tatum because the other guys were torching them. And as we saw in the third quarter, that doesn't really work out so well for you. I think they just need to be committed and hope some of these guys miss. Um, and I don't know, Mike. You tell me. Like it's early in these playoffs, obviously. But I have maybe it's because of the minutes these guys have all gotten during the year when Tatum was out. I just have a different level of confidence with all these guys shooting these role players than I've had with previous Celtics teams.
because they
Which,
can shoot.
yeah, and they can, yeah, whether it's, Shireman or Gaza or Vucevic or, Hauser, whoever, it's like, I mean, they're good players. Like like these role players are just goddamn good players. They're a lot better than the Philly role players. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big part of this series. I mean, the bench every game is outscoring Philly by a lot. I mean, that first half yesterday was a real example. The bench was, I mean, Tatum and Brown had hardly any points. It was the bench that just were dominating Philly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and not just on offense, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, on the ball defense, causing turnovers. I mean, they do it all, Jim. I mean, there's so much debate about who should be playing because there's so much talent. Like who
It's
should
a
be?
nice problem to have. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
But
think these managers.
Shireman, when's the last time Shireman's like missed a shot?
I know.
You
I
know?
know. Any other team, Walsh is getting fourth quarter minutes, but on this team, it's like it's tough to find them. But it's these guys are all going to have their moments, as these playoffs go on, and they're showing that they're ready for it. It's really nice to see. It just kind of pay off. The trials and tribulations they went through during the regular season, getting through all the Tatum injury stuff, guys getting advanced roles, and obviously outperforming expectations by a country mile, and now you're seeing it pay dividends in the playoffs.
I think
You couldn't write a better story.
important factor for last night's game too is that the minutes that Nimi got in the second half, outside
He
of
was
that
better. Yeah.
dumb foul that got him his third foul. Yeah, he was. He had a good run in there, and hopefully that can carry over because that's the Achilles heel is the center position for every series that they're going into for the most part. So yeah, Jim, I don't think there's a ton more to say about this game.
I want to touch. I want to ask you about a couple things. Just
Okay. Sure.
about the. I think the people we should just touch on. And to the Nemi point, the center position, I give Joe. I would not have figured it out. The coaching staff deserves a lot of credit on how they figured out the center stuff. And Vucevic is, you know, everyone was rightfully down on him. He's been their best center. He's been a really good player so far. Like there's no other way to describe it. He's been good on both ends. He just has. He's not
Yeah, I
great,
mean, Joe,
but he's been good.
after Nimi got that second foul, Joe just matched Vooch and to Embiid. That
Yeah.
whenever Embiid was on the floor, he was on. When Embiid got rest, that's when Garza came in. And it worked. He did a good job.
Talk a little bit about Peyton Pritchard, Mike. He was, the man of the hour last night. I don't think we've touched on him at all or enough so far at the beginning of this pod, but he was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when he gets it going, man, good luck. I mean, you can be in his face. He's gonna create space. He's hitting some deep threes right away. I mean, I think Philly was really, really slow to get out on him on some of these shots, and I don't know why, but especially that one he hit in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, he is so strong with the ball, and he has the ability to get into the paint and create space for himself and take that little jump shot. He finishes at the rim really well. He's not afraid. And he hasn't been a defensive liability in this series. And if he's hitting his three like that, he's really hard to cover. And if he wasn't playing for Boston, he'd be a starter on most teams in the NBA. And yeah, it's a huge advantage to have what they're getting from him, because he carried that team in the first half yesterday when Tatum and Brown didn't have it going. He carried them. There was a game against Atlanta earlier in the season where Atlanta was on like this huge winning streak, and Peyton Pritchard carried them the whole game. In the past, Pritchard has done this against like the Kings and the Wizards and the Nets and the Raptors, but when it came to these upper echelon teams, he wouldn't show up, and I wouldn't have the confidence that he was going to have games like this. And now, seeing what he's doing against Philly, um, it's a pretty special story for him. It's it's it really makes the Celtics even more of a favorite to get out of the East.
Yeah, and we'll see how it shows up in the series as they go on, and the defenders get a little bit better, and the teams get stretched. The talent is just maybe greater than what Philly has to match up with him. But you're right. There's just been so many moments of this year, and when he scores like that, the Celtics are almost impossible to beat. Especially when those other guys are on the floor. Um, I also wanted to ask you, Mike. So we spent a lot of time on this pod about Derek White, his shooting. Are you encouraged about him going 2 for 4? What did you see yesterday? And then one last question about another player.
Yeah, White had a great game. That huge block on Maxey once again, chasing him down on a
And
really
Embiid, he had two of those.
Embiid. Yeah,
Yeah.
the one on Maxey though was after a bad turnover and just completely saved the play. He hit two of his open looks. They looked confident coming out of his hand. I mean, to start the game, his first three was off the side of the backboard. Um, I think Jaylen Brown airballed his first three too. I was like a little
Yeah.
nervous the way they looked coming out. Um, yeah, I'm still concerned about his shooting. Yeah.
So his first three was one of my favorite plays of the game. They um, they want to get Embiid into the action right away on Tatum. And what ended up happening is they switch out of it before they can do that, Philly. I forget whoever it was that Embiid was covering. Let's say it's like, just for the sake of argument, Kata or whatever. Tatum just waves Kata by. Just get the hell out of here. Now, Embiid's on White. And Tatum just says, come on over, And so instead, Embiid wanted nothing to do with Tatum. So what he does is he just continues to chase White after the screen. And he's kind of now just completely off balance. And White backs up 2 steps and drains the open three. And it was just like, and this was pretty early in the game. And it was, all right, they know exactly who Joel Embiid is right now. And they're going to go right after him. And that's exactly what they did. They just continued to target him over and over again. And then he had no answers. But I did like the fact that he was able to step back. So the 2 threes he made were like not think about it threes. There was the one in the corner at the end of the game. There was that kind of step back right into the flow of things. So, that's a good sign. Obviously need to see a lot more than just 2 for 4. But, looked better. The blocks were remarkable plays.
Yeah,
The one on Maxey was awesome. The one on Embiid, I think, was off a turnover too, or off a like missed layup on a Celtics fast break, and then just he's awesome. He's just awesome in those moments. Uh, the other thing, this was I pretty perceptive by you. During the game, Jaylen Brown really struggled. You said he doesn't look right. After the game, he mentioned his ankle.
oh, he
Being
did.
yeah, and so just mention, kind of go through what you saw, why it made you concerned. It's obviously not the misses that made you say that. There was something you were seeing, and then obviously, all the more reason to close this thing out.
He just looked lethargic, and he looked like he wasn't confident making decisions. That he was slow and not decisive like he usually is in the first quarter, especially. That's why I was texting you that stuff. I just noticed that he looked off, that he didn't seem at full strength to me, that he, similar to like against the Knicks in the games that he was off last year in the playoffs when he was injured, that he wasn't fully trusting that he was going to make the right play or able to do what he wanted to do. And I think it impacted his ball handling throughout the game. So that's unfortunate that his ankle was brought up because he didn't look right to me in the first quarter yesterday.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a great find by you. The other thing that I think, I'm not going to say I'm worried about it, but it's going to be interesting to watch going forward. The league is calling the push off more, and not just on the extend in the playoffs. It seemed to just be calling.
Yeah,
It's not just the Celtics. Shea got called for it. You've seen it across the league.
good.
That's been a big element of Brown's game this season to get space. It's the way he's been able to beat a lot of guys. How he adjusts to that, not so much in this series, but I think especially next, if it's the Knicks, is going to be something I think that bears watching. In two things, you don't want him to get into that foul trouble on the with getting offensive rebounds because that can happen quickly. You hit one of those and you pick up two cheap ones, and all of a sudden you're on the bench in the first half. You also want to see him to be able to create space for himself to get to that mid range because it's such an important weapon and where the Knicks are going to have good long defenders, where the Hawks have good long defenders. That's just going to be an interesting. I think it's
Yeah,
something to key in on and watch.
but his push-offs that he got called for yesterday were pretty egregious. Like he slapped one guy in the face
Yeah,
with his hand, and the other one he like his elbow just clearly
but
shoved the guy.
it's not been egregious across the league what they're calling. So
Hmm.
like, and he uses that quite a bit. So I just think it's got to be. It's just worth watching. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. Tatum had a couple of those too.
Yeah,
Today. Yeah, I that's the impact that high ball pressure has on players of Tatum and Brown's caliber. You got to get up in their chest and force them to make mistakes like that. Philly's been able to do it, and yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And obviously, the ankle is something to keep an eye on too.
yep. And
Yeah,
I tend to agree that they should call that unless they're letting the grabbing and the physicality on the ball
then you
go.
don't call it.
Then
Yeah,
you don't call it. Then I think the offensive players should be allowed to be physical as well. Like if you're going to allow one way, allow it the other, and which I'm perfectly fine with as well. You know, less whistles is good. Physicality is okay. As long as it's not an extension egregious like Brown had, which deserved to be called. Um,
yeah. I
all
thought the
right,
officiating up until yesterday has been okay.
I did too.
They were just getting baited by Embiid.
He's worse than SGA with this bullshit. He is so
Yes, but there's just too much of this in the league, and I just hate it. I hate it.
yeah, he's 7'2", 330 pounds, and White swiping at the ball after an offensive rebound makes him fall down.
Like he got
Like,
shot.
yeah, like, are you kidding me? It's so fucking goofy. I don't know how, like, I don't think Philadelphia fans, he's been their guy, so they got to support him. I don't think they're going to understand how much they're going to enjoy life better, especially if they have a pretty good team with him gone.
How are they
The
gonna?
level of
He's
basketball, the enjoyability of what you watch will just increase tenfold.
He's making 57 million next year. I mean, how are they going to move that contract? We don't have to talk about that today.
True. I think it's like a 3 years. They still around 60 million. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Lakers, we don't even
It's the
have to
worst
talk about
contract. It might be the worst. It's either him or Jakob Poeltl, the two worst contracts in the league. Um,
the
all
Java.
right.
And there's a lot of them, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So look ahead, Mike. Um, put your the coaching hat on. You're Nick Nurse. So that means you're a douchebag. Uh, how do you approach Game 4? What are you looking to do? What's your point of emphasis? What adjustments are you looking to make?
I'm starting Edwards over Oubre. Because Oubre hasn't been able to hit any threes in this series, even though he's always been a pretty decent shooter. He's just not right now. And I don't think there's a huge drop off defensively with those two plays. So I'm going to create more space with Edwards out there, guy who's shown he can hit some open looks against the Celtics. And um, outside of that, I am going to get the ball in Paul George's hands a lot more to start the game. On game 5, whether I'm posting him up or having him shoot threes, I'm going to be emphasizing to him we need you to shoot the ball more.
Yes,
I'm not going to be running the offense through Embiid because Embiid refuses to roll to the basket on the pick and roll. He refuses to do it.
he does.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would play Bono over Drummond first of all as my second center. Yeah,
Yeah.
but not a huge thing. And then I would kind of like you. I would tell Embiid the offense is going to be run through Maxey, and I need him to exert his effort on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Like we don't need 30 points from you on offense. We can find ways to grab offense. We've done that. We need defensive rebounding, and we need a rim protector. We need you to be that. Whether Embiid accepts that or not, I tend to doubt it. But that would be the point of emphasis I want to make. And knowing that I'm only going to get one end of the court at full effort from him, I want it on the defensive end because he can still be a great defender if that's where all his focus is.
I'm not 100% certain Embiid's going to play. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
It's got some quit in him. We'll see.
I don't know. Look, the guy came back after 2 weeks from appendicitis, which deserves some credit. That's no small thing. It's friggin' stomach surgery. So he like I tip my cap to him there. As much as I want to hate on him as much as possible, like that does show some level of like care and toughness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go around the league, Mike. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with the biggest disappointment I think in these playoffs, which is Jokic. I think he's been bad. I think he's been a losing player, which is hard for me to like say. I think it really takes some shine off their championship. Now looking back, that they beat like 2 sevens, like a 7 seed and an 8
Well, I'm
seed to
not going
get
to go
there.
that far.
Maybe not.
Oh.
I'm piling on, but like this has been atrocious. Like it's been really, really bad. They're not good defensively, and they're not getting anything nearly enough from him on the offensive side.
I'd rather give credit to Rudy Gobert because I think I've enjoyed watching Rudy Gobert for the first time maybe in my life. And yes, Jokic is playing bad and he deserves what you're saying, but also I think Rudy Gobert deserves credit for the defense he's played in this
He
series.
does, but Jokic is supposed to be the best player in the world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's why I'm giving credit to Rudy Gobert too.
And he's been bad. He's been bad.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of credit to Gobert. There's a lot of blame also on Jokic. I also think if Minnesota just built a ballroom, DiVincenzo and Anthony Edwards would be safe and still playing. They had just had a ballroom. I don't know. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that those two are hurt because now I give Denver more than a fighting chance of taking this series. And it's too bad because that Minnesota team looked locked in, like they were going back to the Western Conference Finals for what would that be, the third or fourth year in a row?
I think they were about to give the Thunder all they could handle in the semis. Yeah, I really do. Yeah, not now. Obviously, it's over. Yeah,
and I don't give Denver a chance against the Thunder with what I'm seeing right now.
Mm-mm.
Just don't play any defense.
But then again, things change fast. I thought the Orlando Magic were dead in the water, and let's go right to them. They're up 2-1.
I don't even know
Gaza
what to
hit
say.
that three against them. They looked awful against the Sixers. They have that weird like blowout against the Hornets, but I didn't pay any mind to it. I didn't think much of the Hornets at that point, and I, I just thought it was a one-off. And they have been, I just think, the much better team in the series so far. Like it's 2-1, which feels right. Detroit earned that one win, but overall, they've been the much better team. And I look at the
This
two
was,
teams. I think
Mhm.
Orlando's more talented.
That's what I mean. This was the worst possible matchup for Detroit to get a team, whether they're playing good or playing bad, they're going to match your physicality. Maybe the only team in the Eastern Conference that's going to
Yep.
match it,
They-
and on top of it, they have more skill players than you do, and those guys are finally playing good for the first time in like 6 months.
yeah.
Um, I do not know what to make of that series. Duran has been such a good player all season, and he's not shown up now.
Wendell Carter's outplaying him by a mile. By
It's
a
it's
mile.
it's insane to me.
Yeah.
I still give Detroit a chance to take this in seven, but right now my money's on Orlando to take it in seven.
I got
Um,
Orlando in six. I think they're going to win
Whatever.
tonight. I think Detroit takes game five. I think Orlando wins tonight, and it goes Detroit takes game five, and this is over in six.
Yeah, I mean Detroit needs Cade Cunningham to have just a Luca type series and beat Orlando on his own offensively. That's quite. I mean, unless Duran shows up like I thought he was going to, because you can't count on Tobias Harris. That guy never shows up in the playoffs. Um, they don't have much. I mean, they traded for that. Their trade deadline was so weird, bringing in Kevin Herter. Like, I don't know. But anyways, yeah,
I know.
Orlando looks like they're going to win the series, and Desmond. I mean, Pablo looks. I don't know what it is with Pablo. He just turns into a different player in the postseason than
He
the regular
does.
season. And then Desmond Bain looks like the guy they gave up 5 first-round picks for. If
And,
I,
and, and Wagner does not look hurt. He's moving
no, he
really, really well.
still can't shoot though.
No, but he's moving well, which makes him dangerous. Like there, and obviously Suggs is healthy. So it's kind of crazy. Did not see this coming,
I
but here
think.
we
I
are.
mean, after watching Toronto and Cleveland, like I feel like this is lining up to be a Celtics Orlando Eastern Conference Finals or a New York Knicks Orlando.
Orlando matches up really well against Cleveland too. It's
They
freaking
do.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really crazy. Um, let's go to the other two series real quick, Mike, because of the only two other interesting series left are both on the Eastern Conference side. Knicks 2-2. They play this tomorrow night. Hawks giving them everything they could ask for. I still think that the
That's in
Knicks
game
prevail
four.
Hill, but what's been
Knicks are,
interested in the clutch games, the Hawks have outplayed the Knicks in this
Mhm.
series.
Which is really interesting because the Knicks are the best clutch team in the NBA in the regular season. And I said that the opposite is happening of what I said I thought would happen in the series, that the Hawks
Yeah,
would win the clutch games. But I think in game four, the Knicks kind of,
posed their will a little bit.
yeah, and also expose that there isn't a player on the Hawks that can cover Carl Anthony Towns. They were trying to with Kaminga, but that second quarter, he basically almost put up a triple double, just doing whatever he wanted. Um, I think that's a real problem for Atlanta. Is if the Knicks finally run the offense through Towns the way they should in this series, Atlanta's going to have a tough time. But um, hey, McCollum's been great in New York. So hasn't Walker. So Walker Alexander. I give the Hawks a fighting chance, but I think this is going seven, and I'm still picking New York.
I'm still picking New York. It's either 6 or 7. Yeah, I'm with you. I will say Brunson's been really exposed on the defensive side. The way McCullough has went right at him, and there's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
That has been really interesting to watch, and it's not like the other part of it is Anthony's been a little bit better on defense, Anthony Towns, but he's still, he's not helping. He's not helping. So like that aspect of it is the Knicks. The reason I believe like the Knicks could definitely come out of the East, but they're never going to win it.
No.
You're just never going to be good enough to win it. Um, hey, Toronto, all the credit in the world. RJ Barrett, it's been. I think he's a much better player than people give him credit for, And Donovan Mitchell down the stretch of game four kind of kicked the game away, in my opinion, for Cleveland. Like trying to draw stupid fouls, just not being a real serious player after doing everything he kind of got his team back into it. Cleveland will still win this series, but this should have been over in five. Now this is going to be 6 or 7.
Cleveland can't win on the road. So yeah, I think the home team is winning every game in this series. That's what I think.
It's a bad look for Cleveland right now. Toronto didn't beat anybody all year. They
Yeah.
didn't beat anyone good all year. It's like they would fold. Cleveland had them on the ropes 2-0. This series looked over. It was the only like series that felt like it was going to be chalk at one point in the Eastern Conference. And I really too dreadful in game three. They didn't play any defense down the stretch, and Toronto went off.
It
And
would
then
be
in
nice for
game
Brandon
four,
Ingram. Yeah, it would be nice for Brandon Ingram to show up in the series.
I think they were 4 for 30 for three and still won the game.
Yeah, it was a terrible game to watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But not a good look. These, as these playoffs go on, Mike, everything that was said about the East is just coming to be true. You have a bunch of, it feels like, good teams, but there's nothing there that makes you say, "Oh wow." Maybe the Celtics. Maybe the Celtics are right there to like, but the rest of the conference, it's not impressive.
Yeah, right now it looks like OKC, San Antonio, and Boston, a bunch of pretenders. But I still am very fearful of the Knicks. And like after those first two teams out west, now that Edwards and DiVincenzo are out, like it's going to be San Antonio and OKC, and it should be Boston playing one of those two teams. That's how it should pan out.
At least the West gets a little interesting if Luka comes back and Reeves comes back, and then San Antonio Lakers series is worth putting on for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Wemby has been,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
oh my goodness.
Castle, and then Dylan Hopper. Wow. With the game Wemby was out, Dylan Hopper. Holy shit.
Went bananas.
Yeah.
I do want to just comment on.
Ayu was sumo out in Minnesota too.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
OKC's dirty. I just want to point that out that Lou Dort's a dirty player.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
I really, really fucking hate that team. And I hate the whistle that SGA gets. I think it's ridiculous that he gets this whistle. And I'm glad everybody's calling it out for what it is, because it's just stupid. It's not like fouls aren't even being committed, and like enough's enough with this shit.
Yeah.
What was
No.
Game 7 last year, right, against Indiana? He got that call too, or was it Game 6 that like lost Indiana the game? So like I've had enough of it.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
gotta get used to it. They're not going anywhere for a long time.
It might be. That tax bill is going to be going up.
Any closing thoughts, Mike?
No, let's put this away. Let's move on to the next round. Let's get these guys a break. Continue to get Tatum a break to rest on that, and Brown to rest that ankle, and get ready for the New York Knicks.
Amen.
That is going to be a series to get excited to talk about. A
Yeah,
lot of storylines there. Tatum returning to the Garden for the playoffs. A lot there.
Oh, for sure. Only closing thought I have is, I just don't want to go a pod without talking about it. Jason Tatum again, it's mind-boggling what he's doing. It's really unbelievable. 37 and 11. His passing is better than it's ever been. The ball is getting out of his hands so quickly to shooters. I think the beginning of the third, with him and Brown, he either scored or assisted on like the first 26 points of that third quarter or something like that. Just an insane. It's happening over and over again, and now all of a sudden,
he's the best player.
His shooting is starting to come back, and he's had 2 games plus 50% from the field.
Yeah, everybody was saying, would he be able to play number 2 to Brown? I think the question needs to be, hey Brown, are you able to play number 2 again?
I
Like
think
right now, because the best player on the floor is Jason Tatum.
yeah, maybe maybe Brown's the 1A scorer throughout these playoffs still, but
Yeah,
but they're playing together really,
really
really
well.
well.
Really well.
They're playing off each other. Like it feels a little bit more in control than it ever has been from that aspect. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that whole conversation about those two not being able to play together, how that's not dead, it's just not true, and it's never going to be true. It's never going to be true with these two.
No, and the way they've both become facilitators, especially Tatum, I don't. It's like it's the conversation is moot at this point. They can. It's it's pretty easy how they're playing together. It
Plus, if
looks
Brown
easy.
learned anything this season, that no matter what he does, he's going to be disrespected because they're not even going to put him on the all first team because the NBA is so fucking stupid. They're going to put Cade Cunningham over him. So like
And the ability to process what's happening and like make sure other teammates are in the right spot and get the offense to where it needs to be. I think you saw it with Brown on that last three from Tatum, then game three that we talked about, and then I thought you saw it at just a bunch with Tatum. We used that White example earlier of bringing Embiid on the secondary screen. These guys are just in complete control right now. They're in complete control, and the physicality that teams used to bother them with. I think they realize that they're bigger and stronger, and it doesn't matter.
all right, Jim, well, go Celtics.
I'll see you.
Yeah.
Let me run with you tonight. I'll take you on a moonlight ride. There's someone I used to see, but she don't give a damn for me. But let me get to the point. Let's roll another joint, turn the radio loud. I'm too alone to be proud, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be me. People come, people go. Some grow young, some grow cold. I woke up in between a memory and a dream. So let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint. Let's head on down the road. There's somewhere I gotta go, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be me. My old man was born to rock. He's still trying to beat the clock. Think of me what you will. I've got a little space to fill. So let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint. Let's head on down the road to somewhere. I gotta go, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. No, you don't know how it feels to be me. You don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. No, you don't know how it feels to be me.
They're going to call the half foul as part of the Fan First Sports Network. All production is done in-house, part of Get the Hell Off My Yard Productions.